Welcome everybody back to Lobby Talk for the week of November the 4th. My name is Ron Pierce. I'm the president and CEO of RSA Consulting Group. And once again, this is kind of your behind the scenes look of what's happening in Tallahassee. So committee week number 4, again, it's the week of November the 4th. I want to highlight a couple of issues that moved. Number one was Visit Florida. As you all recalled last year, Visit Florida was a big debate about number one, does the organization sunset? And also with regard to the funding component. They did fund it last year at $50 million, but what they didn't do was extend it for longer than 1 year. So right now, Visit Florida is set to sunset this upcoming year in 2020. So Senator Hooper has filed Senate Bill 362, which passed the Commerce and Tourism Subcommittee. That would actually extend the sunset of Visit Florida out 8 years to 2028, October 1st of 2028. That's important. We have a number of clients, including obviously Visit Tampa Bay, and many of our other clients care deeply about this. So we're supporting it, monitoring. We actually were in committee this week and waved in support on behalf of Visit Tampa Bay. This does not impact the funding component of it. I think you'll see a debate on that from the House and Senate again. This deal actually was just the sunset overall of the organization. Another thing that happened this week, which I think is important in Tampa Bay locally, I know a lot of times we'll focus on what's happening in Tallahassee, is the St. Pete City Council had their elections on Tuesday. We had 2 incumbents that were reelected, as well as 2 newcomers. Congratulations to all of those winners. We look forward to working with them, with many of our local clients when we get back to Tampa Bay, back from Tallahassee. Let's move on to Governor DeSantis. Has had some major announcements. He and Speaker-designate Chris Sprowls had a press conference earlier this week. In the press conference, they included AHCA Secretary Mary Mayhew. They introduced the launching of a new healthcare cost transparency website. Patients can see what they expect to pay at specific hospitals or providers. Part of the governor's overall plan to lower healthcare costs for consumers. This is a major part of that. Sprowls sponsored the bill last year that led to the website, and AHCA will actually be the ones that are running it and maintaining the website. A lot of these press conferences you're seeing from the governor over the next couple of weeks are going to be really, really important, because it's going to start setting the table for policy initiatives that his administration is going to care about going into the 2020 session. I do expect healthcare to be front and center again, probably not quite as front and center as last year, but I do believe you'll see some additional bills relating to scope of practice, as well as overall costs as well. Let's pivot to First Lady Casey DeSantis. The First Lady has been a champion of mental health care. This week at the Florida Children and Youth Cabinet, of which she's the chairwoman, they launched a discussion about youth suicide to warn about the rising suicide rates among youth, specifically in the Panhandle post-hurricane. This is an important discussion. The First Lady has been a huge champion of mental health care. This week we actually have Baycare in town, and we have Gail Ryder from Northside Mental Health Center, so it was good timing having her in town to be part of the mental health discussions moving forward. Once again, we're looking for some additional funding for Northside, for some additional mental health beds in Hillsborough County, partnering with Grace Point. So let's talk a little bit about kind of where we are at the end of week 4. A number of House committees were actually canceled this week. One of the main reasons being is you still haven't had a lot of bills that have been filed or were referenced at this point. November the 26th is the deadline for all House members to file their first 2 bills. So hopefully at that point you'll have kind of a number avalanche of bills that are being filed over the next couple of weeks to kind of lead into the last couple of committee weeks. I think you'll start seeing policy bills start moving next week. I think you'll see a lot of policy bills moving the December committee week, with session starting January the 14th. That December committee week will be critical for a lot of bills to get up in the first committee reference, to be positioned to have a chance to get to the finish line during the 2020 legislative session. Let me also talk briefly, we talked about last week, remember the local appropriations bills have to be heard in one subcommittee to be able to be put into the House budget. You started to see some of those bills move this week. United Way actually had a bill up this week that we were there and waved in support of. So you're starting to see some of those bills begin to move. That's really important, because as we get into January, I think you're going to see a lot of these local projects begin to end up in certain lists and be positioned to be in the initial House or Senate budget, specifically the House with these local bills that I'm referencing. Next week's going to be a really very busy week in Tallahassee. It's the week of November the 11th. We have a couple of clients in town. We have the Tampa Bay Partnership with Rick Homans. We've got United Way and Women United as well. I think we've got 12 or 15 people from United Way Suncoast joining us in Tallahassee. So that's it for this week on Lobby Talk. Thank you all for tuning in. I look forward to talking with everybody again next week. Thank you.